It's a fuel tank. It's a fuel tank. 2 fuel tanks in one. The problem is the camber's way off.
Here's our friend Rick. He's turned into a snowman.
Fits in there absolutely perfect. Plenty of clearance.
One cool thing that Nate did was when he modified the floor, he moved it up and widened the tunnel up. So even if it's still stock floor, just modified it a little bit. I got a lot more room around the bell housing to get everything out, which is one thing that I've always struggled with. I always had to undo the mid plate, drop the motor down, which always put everything on a weird bind. Not anymore. Thank you, Nate. You may never see this. Anyway, it's coming back out after 6 weeks.
Sure.
Broken in a bunch of pieces.
You scrape all this out of your wheel wells and your frame rails.
Not doing any of those things.
You should.
Yeah, I don't have. That's not on my list of
Not
time.
now, when you take the car back
Oh,
apart.
I'm gonna put it on rotisserie.
I don't do that. That's stupid.
Walk to the other side. I'll show you what the problem is. So we got a couple problems. One problem being is we think we have too long of a shock, because if we don't have this limiter limiting the shock, the ball joint nut hits the adjustment screw, one of them, I don't know which one's which because it's different than mine, but hitting this adjustment screw, so we have to limit that so it doesn't smash it off. We have to have an extended ball joint in it, because if not, the shock's not long enough, or is too long, and it won't have any compression whenever we're riding down the road. The other issue is if this limiter isn't here, the ball joint bottoms out on this upper part of the upper control or upper knuckle, and it binds and you can't turn the wheel. You could, figure out why that is just bad if you ever tried to drive and not be able to turn your steering wheel. I've done it. It's not fun. So we just have multiple issues. I think if this lower control arm had some curve in it, it would be great. If the shock was more upright, it would be great. If we could move the mounting more straight up and down, and then bring this one, maybe even had a little drop in it, or if this was dropped with a straight arm, looking just like mine, I feel like everything would be remedied. But with just, going on 13 days before we leave, making custom upper control arms is probably not the most feasible thing to do. So I'm going to see if we could remedy it, at least short term, by changing the shock. But I need to know where ride height actually is, center to center. At ride height, then we can see how much downward travel we have versus upward travel. We also have drop knuckles on this, 2-inch lowering. I don't think that's the right idea either, but this is what we have to work with. So I'm going to see if there's anything we can do, even if they said run home and grab my shocks and see where this is supposed to be, and if they'll work, at least for mock-up, and then we can order some custom valve shocks for it in a timely manner, expedite all that. But ultimately, we just need to figure out what we can do to make this thing work. So my thinking, I could be wrong, what I want to do is actually put the wheel on it, lower the car, maybe even put it on the car cribs, lower the front half of the car, and put tension on it and see what ride height actually is, instead of this, I don't want to say make-believe spot, but I don't know, putting the wheel well in it doesn't, or putting the wheel in the wheel well doesn't tell me what the ride height actually is, because I don't know what it is. I don't know what it looks like. I want to see how far the front bumper is off the ground and the side of the car. It would be nice to have the rear end in it so we can make sure it's actually sitting the way we want it to sit, like square, but I don't know that we have that luxury. Nope, definitely don't have that luxury, as there's no rear end in the car. But this way we can actually get a realistic measurement of what the shock should be, instead of just guessing. And I have another set at home I could bring in, my old street shocks, just to see, but I don't know. You got to be able to figure out something better than what's here. Maybe it's making a new lower control arm, or modifying the lower control arm. I know G-body stuff. I don't know Mopar A-body modified stuff. Not even a little bit. It's just not the way I think it should be. So we're going to see if we can make it the way I think it should be.
It didn't even move.
Right. right, so where's ride height at? So we have to remove those shocks. By we, I mean, I have to remove those shocks, set the car back down, and just see where ride height is. Because there's no way to, this isn't ride height. And I don't think this is 2 inches over ride height. He's trying to say this is just 2 inches of downward travel. I don't think this is 2 inches too high. I think this is 4 inches too high. This is considerably higher than it used to be. So full extension, center to center, is 16 and a half in a little bit. No, 16 and a half. And without it in there, it turned fine. So I think it was just all that extra stored energy. That's an inch and a half of compression.
Imagine this thing would have wheelied like no other.
Oh man. Well, it never would have. It would have just bounced its way all the way to the third line. I mean, you know, we don't even have a wheel to put underneath the back of this thing to see where it should sit. Is your wheel tired?
Ka-chow.
The problem is the camber's way off. Yeah, I think the upper. Yeah, this one's touching it. Luckily, the fender's not bolted on, so it just moves. But I feel like that's where old ride height was very close to that.
Alright guys, we're here with the duster. Me and Rick are trying to get the dashboard fitted right now. Rick's over there cutting, making a mess. Getting fiberglass dust all over me. Trying to fit it around these sweet bars. Got all these bars that you got to get the dash to go around now. Here's our nice sweet template right here. Rick's over there cutting it out. Here's our friend Rick. He's turned into a snowman.
This is bad. All right, let's try to see if it's closer
Getting it all trimmed out here.
for roll cages and such. See what happens here.
Let's try it out. You might want to trim that top part back some more. Yeah, because we still have to come up farther and make it touch up here.
It's in there. I'd say that's the size needed. Looks cool. Now we just need tires.
All right, here we are with the duster again. We got the new rear end installed. This sweet rear end with these sweet lamb brakes. 40 flying strange axles. This new quick performance aluminum center section. He's ready to go. Got this DC anti-roll bar going on here. Ready to get this pro mod going.
We got the new shocks on. Now we're going down. See kind of how it sits. also the first time we've had the rear on. So, I mean, it looks just, I mean, I couldn't say that's perfect, but I mean, I'd say it's pretty perfect on there. And on the back, it's first time with the 12-inch wheel ever on this car. These are the Kaisers, and they just look absolutely phenomenal. Of course, with the 275 Pro on it, I mean, it just fits in there absolutely perfect. Plenty of clearance. But, I mean, just really, really looks good in there. Now, we're probably, I mean, honestly, probably 600 pounds light in the car still between everything that needs to go in. So I think with that, it's going to sit probably another 2 inches lower. But looking at the shocks, I think that's we're going to be pretty dead on, really. I think it's going to look absolutely killer on there. So we're making some progress. Finally got this first time the car's been on the ground, really, with this suspension on it. Definitely the first time with the wheels and tires on it. So now we just got to get Rick to clean them up and keep them clean, which I don't know if will happen, but we're making some progress at least. All right, it's bright and early Sunday morning, just under 2 weeks before we have to leave, and you can see we got the Duster. On the other side of that's Bob's Mustang, and then we got the wagon over there. So right now the goal for me is to keep working on the wiring, and as you can see here, I got the engine harness. Everything is pretty much ran and terminated. Actually, everything is terminated other than the starter and the oil temp, which is in the oil pan. But I got everything cut, trimmed, ready to go for the bulkhead, so I'm going to start pinning that. I got my spreadsheet for Maven ready to go, so I can fill all that out. But yeah, this unterminated harness, reverse unterminated harness, is really awesome. So we're going to have this available on the website soon. We'll probably do different ways to configure it, or maybe for LS versus universal. But it'll come with, the heat shrink labels for everything. It's just super nice to do everything. So first time using it, and I can tell you that I thought about this a long time ago, and it's finally become like a reality. So I was doing most of the wiring. I shouldn't say most of the wiring. For enjoying doing the wiring here, something I really wanted to do. So pretty happy about this, and I can tell you so far it's cut off at least an hour, maybe two, of cutting up a harness. So it's just so much nicer, and the outcome is going to be so much nicer as well. Way less extra wire and no goo from the electrical tape and everything else. So, and you don't have to buy a Holley harness. You can just start from scratch like this. It'll come with connectors and everything to pin it to the ECU, at least the J1A, J1B, and then J2A. It just depends on what you're doing. I mean, if you need the O2 sensor, pigtails and everything, then obviously we'll get more connectors, or, it'll be probably a la carte, but pretty excited the way it's coming out so far. So I'm going to go ahead and start terminating the bulkhead connector. Like I said, we got those from Maven. A lot of places sell those, but I like theirs. They're metal. They seem nice. They have that available on the website too, so you can actually fill it out with a pen and then type it up and save it on a flash drive, put it on your desktop, print it up, laminate it, put it in your trailer, whatever you need. So pretty cool. So I'm just going to get right back to it. All right, so the engine side of the harness is done. Got a handful of hours in this. It definitely takes some time, and you kind of have to think it all out. And most of this is not split loom, so just kind of planning everything out, getting the heat shrink where you need it and everything. I'm going to wait to heat shrink the bulkhead until I get it in, so I can kind of form it around the valve cover. It's pretty tight there, so I'm going to kind of wait until then. And then once it's in the car, I got a couple ends to make. So we got starter and oil temp. So once we get those in the car and routed, then I can terminate the end of those. But I'm going to get this kind of draped over the engine, and then I'm going to start on the inside. So all this will go from here to either the ECU or the PMU. So I'm going to go ahead and get started on the inside part of it now. All right, so I got the inside bulkhead all wired up, shrink wrapped, good to go. We have started terminating at the ECU. This is just the actual old ECU, but it's just a dummy ECU for now. The other one's already mounted in the car, but we got all of our pump gas injectors here, left wideband, the right wideband, and then in here we have the methanol injectors. This is all your normal inputs, outputs, plus the extra ones that we added. So, and not the bottom there on the ground, we have the injector driver stuff. So, plus the leads for the starter, the alternator, and all that stuff is already pinned and terminated. So, next I have to work on running wires for boost control, front shock sensors, rear shock sensors. We have shifter and parachute release and bump and all kinds of stuff to hook up still. So I try to do as much as I can on the table and then get it inside. I still have to pin like the CAN bus stuff. I have the cam and crank sensor wires here still to do, but I just wanted to kind of touch base, see what we got going on, and kind of show it to you. It is Sunday the 18th, and still have hundreds of hours of, well, not hundreds, but probably close to 100 hours worth of wiring still to do. So day and a half in, and this is where we're at. So quite a bit to do on the car still, but we're gonna get there. All right, so like I mentioned, it is January 18th. You can see Rick's car behind me, and if you look around, you will not see Rick, but he's been a little MIA lately, but I've been here diligently trying to get the wiring done, trying to get a couple things done. We'll flip around here, and you can see kind of what we're working with here. The underhood engine harness is done, other than some heat shrink on this end. Put the boot on. We got the mount there for the Rife sensors. EGTs are in there for now. I still have to pull those out and wire to them. That's why they're not permanent, but we have all the EGT stuff to wire and mount that box. But engine harness is done and installed, even if it's temporary. Still have to make charge pipe and do a lot of stuff. Make spark plug wires, mount the coils. The coils are going to go up here. We got to do that. We're going to powder coat the panels on the firewall. Still have to seal up some holes on the firewall. Finish the steering column. We'll move inside here, and yes, a lot to do here. The dash has been trimmed but not done. We still have to do some sealing, seam sealing, mount a passenger seat for Jimmy, mount the panel in there for the PMU, and a couple terminal blocks. Carpet, still no carpet. Rear firewall needs done. There's no gas tank. There's no inner roll bar links. There's no drive shaft in it. There's no transmission mount in it. Brake lines need to be finished. Paint the cage. Mount the parachute tab for the release lever. You gotta get the window net done. I mean, the list is extremely long. Throttle cable stuff. I said bolt the intake on. The list is extremely long. No wiring done. Still have to finish this wheel well opening in there, so quite a bit there. We have a wing for the back of it. We got to do that. Parachute mount, push off switch, mount the rear PMU, put the windows in, seat belts in, seat belt tabs, a lot of stuff. Still have a couple boxes to mount on the firewall. Mount the CO2 bottle, do fire suppression, run the lines for the fire suppression, and I don't know, roughly 11 days, 12 days to do that. So not a lot of time. And that's if everything works as planned. So I'm going to call it a day, because I've been here for the last 10 hours working on stuff, and I feel that it's time to go home, because it's Sunday and I gotta wake up early, come back here in the morning, do more of this and work, and then stay late and do more of it. And so a lot to do. I'm gonna go home, eat some dinner, and get some rest. So see you guys Monday morning. Before it's not going to be too loud, I can talk about my coil harness for the ignition system. It plugs into the Pro 600 box, then it goes right behind the engine, and then I'll make the other side and then route it over to each side. We were originally going to go through the wheel wells and all that, but we had an extra bulkhead, so we'll use that space up. So I'm going to get this installed in the car. We got our power source for it. I already ran that before I put from the PMU, before I bolted that in. Then we just have a connector there because those wires aren't long enough anyway. So just a nice, easy way to do it. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this installed. We got wires and a lot of loud noises. It's a fuel tank. It's a fuel tank. 2 fuel tanks in one.
I'm actually super excited about this. Today is Tuesday, the 20th. We need to leave. I need to leave. This car needs to be dynoed and running, and hopefully to get some test passes if I got to be there on Sunday for check-in, and hopefully make 1 or 2 test passes before I just go into this blindly. So I'd have to leave Saturday. It's a 14 or 15 hour drive. So we've got exactly, 10 days? About 10 days left to get this thing ready. It's starting to come together, look like a car. Chuck's been laying wiring. Kevin Jones from KJ Fab just dropped off the custom fuel cell, which is really awesome. It's a modular setup. So this is the methanol tank here. There's going to be 2 Aeromotive 10.0 pumps go in here. If you look in there, he set up custom sumps so they don't draw from each other, which is one thing we were concerned about in such a small cell. And it's removable. You take the bolts out, and you can take this whole setup out. So if I wanted, if for like a safety thing, if I don't want to drive with methanol in the tank, I could just plug it, unbolt it, unplug the pumps, throw it in the trailer or throw it in the bed. Or when I bring it back, I don't have time now, I'm gonna send it out for hard anodizing. This is a 12-gallon actual fuel cell that's gonna use the Aeromotive 340 Stealth setup in it that drops it. It also has a drain so I can drain the fuel. This is gonna sit down into my trunk floor. He set me up with some mounts for it that we'll weld on in place. We're gonna add a hole for our fuel sending unit, and it's going to fill through the factory fill neck still. So I'm going to add the port for that, make the lines for that. So I'll be working on that. Racetronics is sending us all of our lines and fittings that we needed. We're also a dealer for them, so if you guys need lines, fittings, or any of their wiring, any of the stuff that they sell, we got that coming too. So this weekend's going to be a very pivotal weekend in getting this done. This fuel cell's got to be done. We got to get this thing plumbed. We got to finish getting it wired. It needs to be on the dyno probably by Wednesday-ish of next week, and I need to go see my buddy Brandon Cirillo for an alignment of around Thursday-ish of next week, if everything goes great. So I'm actually getting pretty excited here and feeling less depressed.
You don't need a trailer now. You got trunk space.
God, there's so much trunk space now. All right, we'll pull it back out.